First things first, y'all. Why the hell does Clark now say things like golly and gee when he never said any of that when he was a kid? He just goes around going, gee, Lois, oh, golly, oh, gosh. What? Hello, and welcome to Looking for the Best, a Comic Quest, the show where I search for the best of the best comics, graphic novels, webtoons, and more. Can I fill my shelves with greatness? The first ever comic that I will be reviewing is called Superman's Secret Origin. Oh yeah, we're starting with an incredibly famous superhero because why not? Superman. This comic came out over a decade ago in 2009. It's 6 issues, which you can buy individually or as a collected book, either a paperback or a deluxe edition hardcover. Sometimes in the books I consider the issues to be equivalent to chapters, so I may refer to them that way on occasion. I have just the normal paperback version of this, and it may seem like an odd first choice. I mean, I'm coming out swinging, comic bros be damned. But the main 2 reasons I picked this are ease of reading and the nostalgia factor. Look, I don't know a lot about comics, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't read that many, and in my search for finding the best stuff, I'm going to be doing a lot of jumping in blind with little to no context, and really not a lot of background information. Is this random thing that I picked up going to be good? I don't know, but this is one of the few times where not only have I already read this a long time ago, I also have some actual knowledge about the topic at hand. Oh my gosh, what a shocker. I know something about Superman. Whoa. Caveat though, only some things about Superman. I am not an expert at all whatsoever. But I have seen many movies and TV shows about Superman. Yes, the big blockbusters, but also stuff like the fabulous 90s series Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Yes, I have seen it. It's fantastic and awesome, by the way. So as the title implies, this comic is a Superman origin story. It's called Superman Secret Origin. It's an origin story. And in my humble opinion, based on my Superman knowledge, it is incredibly easy for a newbie comic reader to pick up. Like literally pick up off the shelf and start reading, and you don't have to know everything and anything about Superman already. No joke. This book does not assume that you know all of the intricacies about the Superman world, or the history of Clark Kent. And any references to other comics or side characters are not actually that important to the overall story, so don't worry about those. You truly can just pick it up and go without needing to read a Wikipedia article or watch 10 movies or whatever about Superman beforehand. Now, the other reason, the nostalgia, I was a huge Smallville fan growing up. This is my not-so-secret secret. For those who don't know, this was an hour-long television show that ran for about 10 seasons. It ran for 10 seasons, over 200 episodes from 2001 to 2011, about Clark Kent, an alien teenager with superpowers living in Smallville, Kansas, that grows up to become Superman. And yeah, it was an amazing show, and I loved it so much. And young teenage me thought it was just the shit. And I mean, doesn't it sound great? It sounds awesome, right? The big rule in the show, though, was no tights, no flights. That's what they say. No tights, no flights. This is Clark Kent. This is not Superman. That's the whole idea, and they really drill that into you pretty quickly. It's very much about his coming-of-age story, right? And his journey to become Superman, but not actually becoming Superman. In the Arrowverse, which came afterwards, or whatever the DC TV live-action universe is called now, I know they have a new name, I don't remember what it is. Those were all really born out of the success of this show. There would be no Arrow, Flash, Legends, or Supergirl without this show. And I just want to throw out the whole Smallville walked so Arrow could run statement is a bunch of crap because, Smallville ran for 10 fucking seasons, okay? There was no walking. There was just running continuously for 10 long years and many, many episodes and lots of fabulous content. And Arrow would not be here without that, but Arrow did not run as long, although it did spawn more spin-offs. I will give it that. It did spawn more spin-offs. So, as you can tell, I loved Smallville. And frankly, I still do. Even though certain parts maybe don't hold up that well and didn't age very well. There's a few of them that I can think of that come to mind, but let's not worry about those. Don't worry about it. Just, shh. And I warn you now, I'm going to bring it up a lot. I'm going to bring up Smallville repeatedly, even though this is not actually an episode about Smallville, but I kind of don't care because it's really one of the main reasons that I loved this particular book. Because one of the main reasons that I loved it was, yeah, it's a superhero origin story and he gets his powers over time and all that, but it's really more of a quintessential coming-of-age drama about feelings, relationships, and big life lessons like accepting who you are, typical young adult crack and all that jazz. And I think I bought this book around the same time Smallville was ending, or maybe just after, because I couldn't get enough of this story, right? I think, you guys, maybe I bought this at like Barnes & Noble or Borders when it was still a thing. I got this at a legit bookstore because I saw it and was like, oh my god, I love Smallville, I want to read this book. But it's been a long time since I first read it. I did not remember it entirely. I kind of knew mostly what it was about, which is why I picked it for this first episode. But I didn't remember everything. But, that doesn't really matter. Because, look, it's very simple. It's been done over and over again, hundreds of times, in different variations for both Superman and all the other superheroes like him, right? It's a classic for a reason. Superman is an alien who crash-landed on Earth, gets adopted by loving parents, as not all superheroes do, grows up in a small town with good values, learns how to use his powers, and eventually leaves small town for Metropolis, the big city, where he is Clark Kent, the mild-mannered reporter by day for the Daily Planet, and Superman, the Man of Steel, also technically by day whenever emergencies happen and he needs to save someone or something.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Right, we've heard this before, it's familiar. But okay, fine, let's put my undying love for Smallville aside, and let's talk about the book, I guess. Superman Secret Origin. No, I should say that more excitedly. Superman Secret Origin. So whenever I read, or in this case, reread these stories, I try to take extensive notes on my reactions to whatever is happening, right? So that way, when I put together these podcasts, I have a lot to go on for how I want these episodes to unfold. And I gotta say, y'all, some of what I wrote is kinda hilarious. Okay, so if you're a little older, or perhaps already a Superman fan, then the first observation you might make when looking at the front cover of this book, and I'm talking about the book because that's what I have in front of me, is, wow, they drew him to look almost exactly like Christopher Reeve, who's the actor that famously played Superman in 4 big movies from the 70s and 80s. He also cameoed in Smallville, just throwing that in there, you know? Which is so cool, right? It looks great. Christopher Reeve, he's looking stellar with the shirt rip and stuff and the glasses, and he's, ooh, yeah, awesome, all on the cover, right? And it's a Superman story. It's awesome, right? It fits perfectly. I mean, I loved Christopher Reeve's Superman, right? He's fabulous. Margot Kidder was an excellent Lois. Gene Hackman was Lex, and there was plenty more stellar casting decisions all around. Yes, if you watch it now, it's very cheesy, and the special effects don't really hold up anymore, but it's still a lot of fun. And there's, I think, 4 movies, and they're just awesome, especially the first one, because it's iconic, but they're all good. So I'm looking at this cover, right? Wow, Christopher Reeve, how cool. Ooh, yeah. Then I open it up, and I start reading. And, look. It's not bad art, per se. It's not bad. For the most part, the artist, who is Gary Frank, does a great job, really. He just has one fatal flaw. And I mean fatal. I was fucking dead. Oh gosh, you guys. If you're listening to this in audio form, I encourage you to either check out our socials to see what I'm talking about, or look it up for yourself. Maybe see if there's one of those previews on Amazon where you can click through the first few pages, or get this thing from the library just to kind of see what I'm talking about here. Because, y'all, for some reason, this guy cannot draw children's faces. He can't. So instead, it's this creepy, shrunken down, Christopher Reeve-esque old man head on a child's body. I was dying looking at some of these panels. God, it's so fucking funny, and it's so hard to take seriously. They really did young Clark dirty. And Christopher Reeve, they did him dirty too. So, to elaborate here, really, the problem seems to be overdrawn details. It's not the color, it's the line work. They added too many lines and shadows. It's way too sharp and defined in a way that a kid's face shouldn't ever really be. They should be, smooth and round and young and like a kid and not a detailed old guy face. It looks really awful in some of the panels. But then there are some where it's totally fine too. It's not every single panel, but a few of the illustrations might haunt me for years to come. Like literally a shrunken down Chris Reeve's head that is sometimes still oversized on a skinny, scrawny little Clark body. It's just, don't love that visual. All that being said, the rest of the art is stellar, I promise. I mean, not every kid's face is fine, but obviously young teenage Clark grows up into adult Clark eventually. Though it does take a few issues/chapters until that happens. But I swear, it gets better. Again, the nostalgia hits me hard in the beginning because they're showing Smallville, just like my favorite show. They're showing his friends that I recognize. I mean, they're not exactly the same versions as the TV show because the show went very off-book in a lot of ways, but I still knew who they were, which was exciting. I was like, oh, that's Lana. I know her. And there's his friend Pete, and I know all that. And, he's going through the typical discovery of his powers and his identity in the first few issues here. And, of course, he says the line heard 1,000 times over on Smallville, I just want to be normal.
I didn't dive in after Lex's car. It hit me at 60 miles an hour. Does that sound normal to you? I'd give anything to be normal.
Y'all, I really can still quote some of this show even after all these years, and I'm telling you there's so many instances of him saying this in different ways. Mostly during his teen years. He gets a little bit better as an adult. Anyway, back to the book, not the show. The spaceship design in this is super cool, and where the over-detailed, unnecessarily sharp features of the kids' faces might bring things down, that same attention to detail only adds to the backgrounds and scenery here. The school looks great, Smallville looks great, and later Metropolis and the Daily Planet also look great. I swear, it's just the kids' faces. The rest of it is awesome. They do a great job. And like I said before, the series isn't expecting you to know everything. So they do some extra explaining now and again, though sometimes some of their justifications for their writing decisions are a little confusing and make you go, okay, I'm just going to ignore this and try not to get caught up in the details. And for some people, the extra explaining might be a little unnecessary, but for beginners, it is so helpful. The story was written by Jeff Johns, who's done a lot of work for DC over the years and knows this character very well. And I bet he was stoked to get this holy grail of an opportunity to write this. I know I would have been. Not that I can write for superheroes or anything. So as expected, there's some basic Superman tropes, plot points, and hurdles in here, like his desire to play football, but his dad telling him he can't because his powers means he could accidentally hurt someone. And, of course, unintentionally cheat and stuff. And no, don't do that, Clark. This is one of those, yeah, been there, done that if you're already familiar with Superman lore, which is exactly why I'm recommending this book for newbies out there, because it's giving you a bunch of the classic Superman scenarios. Yes, I have seen this before. Many other people have seen this before. But if you have never read or seen Superman stuff before, you'll be thinking, oh, wow, that's a novel idea, or that's cool, or I'm glad they went into that, which is exactly what I want you to think when you're reading this book/comic. Another classic, a classic, I guess, is the, the horniness leading to heat vision thing, which has always been so goddamn hilarious. As a teen, Clark doesn't know he has heat vision, because he gets his powers over time. He doesn't just wake up with all of his powers or arrive on Earth with all of the powers. They come to him over time. He discovers them. Just like any young boy discovering things about their body going through puberty. So yeah, Clark doesn't know he has heat vision, and he discovers this power in this book by kissing a pretty girl and getting so turned on that heat blasts from his eyes and accidentally sets a bulletin board at the school on fire. Oh, classic. And Smallville was a hot teacher. Heat vision, erection, same thing, right? Addendum, it's not a bulletin board, it's like a banner. I don't love that this girl he kissed, Lana Lang, who is on the cover of the book and is his best friend who knows about his secret powers, is constantly shot down by him in this series. Like, dude, you don't even know your future wife, Lois Lane, exists yet? No need to save yourself for her. But whatever. I guess they just didn't really want to go that route here, maybe because it would take up too much space and there's only so much you can do in a comic book issue. I get it. No worries. I would have preferred it to be different, but it's okay. Now, I don't know about every version of Lex in the comics, but because of either seeing young Lex in Smallville or older Lex in movies, I always thought he starts off as a rich kid, so it's interesting to see him here as a poor kid and then a man who rises above later in life and has a bunch of money and power and success. Maybe this is how he usually is. Again, I don't know everything. But there have been quite a few iterations over the years, and I'm just not willing to read Lex bios over and over again in order to verify this tidbit. So I'm just going to go, oh, to me, it was, unusual, but it's probably really not that unusual. Maybe he's like this all the time. I don't know. But what's not unusual is that Lex's dad is an abusive dick, as always. But another big part of the show, Smallville, because I'm going to keep bringing it up, was the strong friendship and eventual demise of said friendship between Clark and Lex, which this comic doesn't do at all, which is not a bad thing, but they meet a couple of times when they're younger, but there's no real connection there and no friendship is formed, which from what I understand is pretty often the case in the comics. They aren't often friends as kids. That's not an unusual thing for this book to have, but the show, oh gosh, it was a big selling point of the show. What if Clark and Lex were friends? Ooh. And then they become enemies? Ooh. I swear, they just, took so many promo photos of Clark, Lex, and Lana as the sacred trio of the TV show and really pushed the Clark and Lex friendship for as long as they possibly could. And it was very compelling. I did really like that about it. But that's not something in this book. Not a part of his secret origin. And yes, Lex's face also looks ridiculous as a teenager. I swear it's like a photo de-aging filter gone wrong. I just can't. But moving on. Older and more powerful Lex appears in issue 4 when Clark is also a fully grown adult. They're fairly close in age in this book, with Lex not being too much older than him. If I had to stick a number on it, I don't know, maybe like a 3 to 5 year age gap, but that's just a guess and I'm really bad at figuring out this sort of thing. They're both young at first, and then in later issues, they're both adults. That's that. Let's circle back to adult Clark and Lex later, though, and finish up the childhood storyline. Young Clarky boy. There are a few other classic growing up super moments in this book, such as the hologram of his birth parents telling him about his home planet Krypton and what happened there and why he was sent to Earth. The tornado scene. There's always a tornado scene. There's one in the Man of Steel movie. And yes, there's also one in Smallville. And then there's the making of the superhero costume and also the origin of his sort of fake glasses that he wears as part of his disguise. And finally, a criminally incidental appearance of Krypto the Superdog, a creature that makes no sense at all, but is still a great excuse to have a cute puppy and Superman-related content. I think they just barely threw him in here just for fun, or maybe to appease some longtime fans, I don't know. I just wish he were in here more, because I love ridiculous super animals. Oh well, you can't always get what you want. One chapter that confused the hell out of me, though, is the one with the appearance of the Legion of Superheroes. Now, Clark is actually Superboy at this point. He's got the costume, and it embarrasses him greatly to wear it, even though his mom put so much hard work into it. But the Legion in this story is a group of superpowered superhero teenagers. At least I think they're teenagers because they act like teenagers. But it's still kind of hard to tell with these faces. As I've stated, they don't always look very young. And the Legion is from the future, and they travel back in time because they want to meet their idol, the amazing, most wonderfulest, bestest guy ever, Superman! But they don't meet Superman. They meet Superboy, young teenage Clark Kent, who doesn't even know his birth name yet, which is Kal-El, by the way, if you don't know that. Maybe they intentionally wanted to meet young Clark so they can hang out with him and give him a pep talk, I guess, because that's what happens. It's really odd. I don't really get it. But then they completely meddle in his life, take him to the future, again, with no knowledge of who he's going to become. Like, why would you do that? And they actually are breaking so many rules of time travel and timelines, and now it feels like it's a whole thing, but they totally fucking ignore that. Like, no, it's all fine, no big deal, it's just a fun, cute little adventure. We're just gonna bring him to the future, and even though he doesn't know anything and probably shouldn't know anything, because maybe he wouldn't become Superman if he did know that he was going to become Superman, but, it's cool, we just really love Superman, so we just want to hang out, because we're superheroes and he's a superhero, it'll be fine. Like, what? What? This was a brain-breaking moment for me here. There's gotta be some logic in these stories, and they just didn't give a shit here. The best I can do is go with that time travel theory that says every instance of time travel has already happened anyway, and you can't change the past because it already happened. So future you is gonna travel back in time anyway, and it's all just one single timeline. No matter how many times you time travel, it's all consistent. free will, who knows? Because this is a super well-known time travel theory that everyone talks about all the time, and I'm sure all of you have heard of. Absolutely right. The one that the time traveler's wife is based around. Yeah, that one. We all know. Yep. But that's me reaching here, obviously. I'm just trying to justify something that I probably should have just ignored. But, whatever. Let's move on before I actually get annoyed. Also, though, I just want to say that truly all of the moments like this are more endearing than they are frustrating. I promise. It's a cute little side story at the end of the day. Okay? Okay. Back to adulthood. First things first, y'all. Why the hell does Clark now say things like golly and gee when he never said any of that when he was a kid? He just goes around going, gee, Lois, oh, golly, oh, gosh. What? Yes, I understand. He says and does things to make himself seem more innocent and pathetic and the exact opposite of Superman. It's his disguise. I get it. I do. But it's still kind of weird, right? Like just a little, right? Just, just a smidge. Gee, mister, I'm just a super buff, small town, clumsy, dorky guy who definitely isn't a superhero if I take off my glasses. Ha ha ha. Sorry for bumping into you totally by accident and not to make myself seem weaker, ma'am. Ha ha ha. Golly gee whiz. So, Clark, he is suddenly a reporter in issue 3. You don't get any information as to how or why that happened. What led him there? Why did he want to be a reporter? What has he been doing from high school years to now? Did he even go to college? Nope, we don't know. We skip all that. He's an adult. He's Christopher Reeve now, and he's here to work at the Daily Planet, which in this comic is almost out of business. Wonder who could save it? Wink, wink, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Maybe someone like, I don't know, Superman, who you can write lots of news articles about and stuff. Maybe, just guessing here. I don't know. Just, a silly guess. Oh, gee. We, of course, meet intrepid reporter Lois in this chapter, and for whatever reason, she has the exact same hair color and texture as Clark, which makes them look just a little bit related. But no, let's ignore that. Moving on. Nope, it's not happening. Moving on, ignoring. This is the otherwise typical version of Lois Lane with lots of spunk, who's not afraid to go after the truth. She's extremely unorganized and messy, brash and tactless, but you love her all the same. Lois has always been a favorite of mine, even when sometimes she's being a big old dum-dum. Like when she does stupid shit, like climbing up high onto things only to fall down in an almost unbelievable fashion, just so she can get rescued by Superman, who reveals himself for the very first time in this chapter with the iconic shirt rip costume reveal and everything. Woohoo! Yeah! But girl, you don't have to fall all the time. In like every movie and TV show and comic book, you just always are falling. Why are you falling? Maybe you should work on that, and maybe we shouldn't keep calling Clark clumsy when all he does is like trip over his own 2 feet and you fall off literal buildings. But yeah, so she falls, he saves her. Seems like very good timing for this struggling newspaper, just saying. I almost wanted to call this book timeless, but I gotta say the technology at the Daily Planet, the computers, the cell phones, and all the stuff that people carry most certainly makes it set in a particular time that's not exactly timeless. Whenever this is supposed to be, this was released pre-iPhone and definitely looks like it, so maybe sometime in the mid-2000s is when it's set. I don't really know. But also at the newspaper, we meet Jimmy Olsen, young photographer extraordinaire, and Perry White, old editor-in-chief extraordinaire. And then the final 3 issues. Again, this is a 6-issue series. The final 3 are really about the birth of Superman. He fights a gross, mutated man whose mouth looks like a literal asshole, and then it gets teeth and looks like a much, much scarier asshole. There's also some fat people or bad people undertones in this, but let's just move right along from that. I don't want to dwell on it. Both Lois and Jimmy have already met Clark, but then they meet Superman. It's hard to not say that, like, normally. Superman, not Superman. Superman. There's kind of an odd, at least odd to me, moment where Superman and Jimmy talk, and Jimmy is way chiller than I personally think he should be. Like, you're talking to a man who can literally fly, which is not an established thing at this point. People don't just fly. And you also just discovered this about him. It's all very new to you. And yet you're just like, yeah, I'm from Yonkers and my American dream isn't coming true, so I need some emotional support and friendship right now from this superpowered man. As opposed to, oh my god, you're a flying super strong man in a leotard and cape. I have so many questions. He's too chill. He's too cool. He's playing it too cool. I don't believe it. That's not Jimmy. Jimmy wouldn't do that. Not even a little bit. But I guess playing it cool got him the first picture of Superman. So whatever. I guess Jimmy isn't a true fangirl then. He's just a wannabe photographer. So he got his photo, and he got to have a chill, cool convo with Superman and become his friend, instead of geeking out like he probably should have. And back to Lex. He is in a position of power now with his big old ego and equally big piles of money. He distrusts Superman, and due to various occurrences in the final few issues, he really seems to straight up hate Superman by the end. As a teen, Lex discovered kryptonite, and boy does he try to use it as an adult. This is a green rock, by the way, a meteorite of sorts that comes from Clark's home planet, which causes very bad reactions in Clark and is one of the few things that will weaken him, if not kill him. There are no green veins in this book, sadly, and the kryptonite doesn't really affect Superman all that seriously compared to the other times that I've seen it. He looks like he feels sick, almost nauseous, but not like hit by a truck sick, you feel? Or should I say not collapsing to the ground like gravity suddenly became 100 times stronger every time he gets near Lana Lang's necklace, like in Smallville. See, I brought it back. You thought I'd move past that, huh? Nope, Smallville for life. All right, I don't want to give too much of the rest of the book away here. Why spoil the whole entire thing? Not that anything particularly unexpected happens. But instead, I decided to give you 12 fun moments from my notes. So let's start with number 1. There's a great panel of Clark pointing at himself and going, "Me?" I love it. It looks great. Number 2, asshole face gives him a parasite hickey. Yep, that's what I wrote. I'm not going to explain it. Number 3, there's a quote from Jimmy, who's actually quoting Lois, saying, "This city is a dog that can't stand up because of the weight of its fleas." I'm sorry, what? Yeah, I Googled this. It doesn't seem to be a common saying, so I guess it's a Loisism. The city is a dog that can't stand up because of the weight of its fleas. Huh. Is this like one of those Southern things where they're saying like, oh, bless your heart, and it doesn't mean bless your heart, you know? I don't know. Whatever. Lois is going to be Lois, I guess, and Jimmy's just going to quote her because he thinks she's brilliant. Like, I get what it means, but still, it's just kind of a weird way to say this. I don't know. Number 4, speaking of Lois, there's a great quote from Lois's dad, General Lane. First, Lex says to him, "Your daughter is causing problems for me, General." And then General Lane says, "My daughter causes problems for everyone." Because Lex ain't special, y'all. Number 5, Clark gives a terrible guy harassing Lois the big dick energy handshake. You know the one, where he squeezes their hands super painfully, all while smiling like the innocent little prick he is. BDEH, big dick energy handshake. That's a thing, right? If it's not a thing, it should be. Number 6, Lois thinks she's some kind of human lie detector and brags about it, which is... Anyway. Number 7, Superman breaks a phone booth. You heard me, breaks. Pretty sure that's not how that usually goes. Also pretty sure phone booths weren't intended to be changing rooms either. Maybe breaking the phone booth was more logical than changing in the phone booth. There's still phone booths in this? Wait, when is this set? I don't know. Number 8, another quote. "I might have traded in my heart for this rock, but it's still beating for you. Thanks, I hate it." Number 9, Kryptonite by Three Doors Down starts playing. Just kidding, but wouldn't that be funny? Number 10, crushing hug equals booty. That one you just have to see for yourself. Number 11. This might be my favorite moment because in the Superman lore, Clark is very much not a killer. He almost always chooses to spare someone rather than take their life. All the time, this is really beaten into you that this is Clark's stern belief. He's not a killer. He's not a murderer. He will spare people. He will give them mercy. He is a person of high moral values as taught to him by his parents. Clark is super moral and super ethical Superman. So it's unusual for him to straight up murder someone. But in this story, it kind of seems like he does maybe kill someone. And when someone else asks, "What did you do to him?" Superman goes, "I told him to take a nap." Y'all, I was howling. Oh my God, it was so funny. Lastly, number 12, 3 panels later from that last moment, a civilian goes, "Leave Superman alone!" And y'all, I'm not kidding when I say that the "Leave Britney alone" video came out 2 years before this series did. So maybe it's possible that Jeff Johns was, not inspired by that. Just saying. And finally, I will end with 2 spoilers here. Spoiler alert. First and foremost, nobody says, "It's a bird, it's a plane, no, it's Superman." They almost say it, but then they don't. What a bummer. I wanted them to say it. Oh well. Second, is this? No, there's no Clois kiss. I know, almost as big as a bummer as the first thing. Am I right? No Clois kiss, but also, more unfortunately, no, it's a bird, it's a plane, no, it's Superman. Oh well, big spoilers for you. Sorry I had to ruin the day. But all in all, it's a great series, a great book, but I do kind of feel it was cut short, maybe. It was truly an origin story meant to be a setup for future comic runs, and it's not necessarily canon anymore. Years have passed and these types of characters are constantly rebooted and retconned, but it's still a good place to start to get the feel for who Clark is and how he becomes Superman. It's not revolutionary or even evolutionary. It's a pretty basic cookie-cutter story with some emotional moments, cut to Clark's heart-to-heart with his dad. But it's good. It's solid. The writing is what I want from a story like this. The art is almost what I want from a story like this. Would a childhood photo of Christopher Reeve maybe have helped? Probably not. If you can't draw a kid's face, I don't know. To answer the most important question, is it the best? Is it the best? The best Superman comic? The best origin comic? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure yet. I haven't read enough Superman stories nor origin stories, so I can't say it's the best in either category. But right now, it seems to me to be top tier. It's worth the money I spent on it all those years ago, worth the shelf space it has taken up ever since. I have moved multiple times and I have kept this book for many years. And I think it's worth a try if you're a new or even old comic book reader who wants to start with something that most superhero origin stories should be fucking solid. It has the childhood angst, coming of age, family bonding moments of young adulthood. It has the later in life becoming an icon, a symbol, a hero. It has some of the villain origin story as well, and it's a great setup for where these characters can go from here. There's growth opportunities, there's world expansion and extended lore opportunities. There's nothing but opportunity. So do I recommend this to pretty much anyone who might be interested in a wholesome superhero story? Yes, I do. And then once you check it out, please tell me your opinions on young Clark's face. Okay, thanks, bye. This has been a fun episode talking about Superman's secret origin. Before I go, here's a little bonus Smallville content because I just can't help myself. Insert Smallville theme song here so that I don't get in trouble for playing it. Just use your imagination. So, I asked my brother to record a little Smallville review for you because I wasn't the only one in my family who watched this show. Alright, well, enjoy.
Ooh, Smallville. That was one of those shows that my sister Danny and I used to watch all the time. That was one of the few shows I think that we really enjoyed together. I remember we started probably on like season 3 or season 4. We found it. I'd always been kind of a Superman, DC Comics nerd before all of that got really huge and ridiculous. But I remember we would watch religiously every week, and my mom got us Smallville on DVD, like the first 3 seasons that we had missed for Hanukkah, and that was kind of the consistent gift for probably 5 or 6 years with the DVD seasons of Smallville. I enjoyed it because, like, kind of as a kid, I was going into high school and in high school, and a lot of the stuff that was happening within Smallville was in kind of the high school setting. But, it was just a really entertaining, really fun show. I actually rewatched all of the seasons over again during the COVID pandemic because there was nothing else to do. Smallville was kind of a fun thing to jump into. I would definitely also recommend the show to other people, especially nerds who aren't necessarily big comic book sticklers, like the people that maybe have enjoyed the comics or enjoyed the shows or the movies or the different cartoons. It's, to me, kind of got that same Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like, cheese, enjoyable, don't take it so seriously, just kind of enjoy it for what it is. Smallville is one of those shows that had a lot of little moments that were really spectacular and really that that I connected with a lot. I was always kind of a little bit of an outsider in high school, and Clark kind of was as well. Even though it didn't really stick with the comics very much, it really had a lot of fun reimagining real world Superman, and it was not so serious. I feel like a lot of DC, especially like Superman and Batman, are very serious, very like black and white, very kind of can get a little dark or not. And the show did a good job of like throwing some humor in and having some fun with the different characters and bringing in the Justice League and kind of the origin story for the Justice League and all of that. I think that's one of the things that the movies I had a hard time connecting with, because they were always very either too serious or taken too serious or kind of cheesy and lame. And, you know, this was cheesy and lame, but it was like teenage cheesy and lame.
Thank you so much to my brother for recording that for me. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for listening.